Thank you. I want to bring in Rachel Fizet now. She's an attorney based in Los Angeles to talk more about the Kristin Smart case. Rachel, good to see you. So no body, no remains. How hard is a case to try with such a lack of evidence?
This case is so old, and there is no smoking gun at this moment as it relates to a body. But the prosecutors, to bring a case that has been cold this long, must feel like they have some very big evidence that can convince a jury.
Right, and we don't know what that evidence is. And as Nancy said, there will be no video or audio of inside the courtroom. The other challenge is any witnesses you would bring, they have to recall the night almost 30 years ago.
That part is so difficult. Memories of something that might have been as inane as walking someone home or someone leaving a party that disappeared later are difficult to recall 30 years later. Perhaps they're seared in their mind because of the disappearance. But there are a lot of issues with trying a case 30 years after a crime has been committed.
As you said, prosecutors must have something. Now, what do you make, Rachel, of the gag order? Is it a violation of the First Amendment?
It depends. So the judge, I think we're coming off of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, and the judge was watching what appeared to be such high national interest with such public engagement in that trial. And my hunch is the judge is looking at that and looking at what could again become a circus in her courtroom. I think that she has to tie her very strict gag order to her job of creating an efficient and fair resolution at trial and keeping the jury pool safe from outside influence. And she has gone to the strictest side of doing that. And if it's challenged, she's going to have to show exactly why she thinks that's appropriate.
Well, and then one step further, the judge wants to move the trial 100 miles away from where the crime allegedly happened. But a case that has gained so many national headlines, is that really going to make a difference?
It may. San Luis Obispo is a small town, so everyone there has probably followed the trial or the case much more closely than those that are a bit outside of the town and haven't passed the billboards since 1997 or seen the searches occurring in their backyard. So changing the venue in this instance feels appropriate.
The defense, Rachel, claims that the podcast set out to frame Flores in this case. Is anything in that podcast admissible in court?
Generally, no. The podcast is hearsay and inadmissible. Where it could come up is if they have a witness that was interviewed on the podcast and that person is again on the stand and they say something different. They may attempt to use the podcast for what we call impeachment evidence, which is not to show that it's true what they said on the podcast, but to show that the person now is telling a different story so that that person is no longer credible.
You know, I was reading, so Paul Flores refused to give a deposition back in 1997, a year after Kristen disappeared. Do you expect that he'll take the stand during his trial now?
I do not. I expect both he and his father to take the Fifth Amendment. I think we're going to see some pretty bad evidence against both of them, given the fact that the prosecution has renewed such interest and vigor in this case. So I wouldn't expect those two defendants to take the stand.
And they will be tried separately. Could anything they say be used against the other? Would the attorneys try to pit one against the other to save their client?
If one spoke in their own trial, I believe they would bring them into the other's trial. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to find that Paul Flores takes the Fifth when he's called as a witness in his dad's trial, which makes the jury think, oh, what is he hiding? And then they'll ask the dad to testify in Paul Flores's trial, and his dad will take the Fifth in his trial. So you're going to have both of those inferences. Although they aren't supposed to be used, the jury will see that each has taken the Fifth. But yes, they could each be called as a witness.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to be following it closely. It'll be challenging, though, without anything visual or audible to share with our audience, but we'll do our best to stay on this case. Rachel Fizet, as always, good to see you. And by the way, jury selection will last a few weeks. Opening statements in the trial in the murder of Kristin Smart start July 6th. Rachel, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.